Today we're going to talk about how to make beautiful figures in PyMOL. On the left you have a figure that is made from these four figures on the right. So you have GFP1, GFP2, and GFP3 and GFP4. So these are all overlaid to create the figure you see here. So I'm going to show you how to do that manually. I'm also going to show you how to script that with a .pml file. So we'll bring up PyMOL. And we're going to get PDB 1EMA. If you want to know how to make this look really nice just on load up, see my scripting tutorial on the .pyrc.py file. So to do this manually, we're going to just hide all the other views. So just going to have one EMA here for now. And the first thing we want to do is go to File, Log File, New. So this will record all the commands that you're doing in the command line and all the GUI clicks you do. So let's just call this test. And we'll save it to scripts. Save. So now anytime I type something, it'll be recorded, and later it'll be really easy to make a .pml file by just editing that file. So first we're going to set the ray tracing. So set ray we'll set ray trace mode to 2, and this will give you like a nice black and white kind of figure. Then we're going to set ray shadows to 0, so we don't want a lot of shadows in this figure. And we're going to set fog to 0, so it's a really crisp, clean figure. Then we set the ray trace gain to 20. This is like how dark your outline is. And finally, we set the ray trace slope factor to 5. This will kind of reduce the number of like shading and hashes. And then set anti-alias. I'm going to set it to 4. The higher you set it, the more memory it uses. So 2 could work well also. Or you'll get a little less detail that you might not notice. And then we're going to set the ray opaque background basically on. So when we ray trace this, we'll get a background instead of it just being an alpha trace. We're going to set the background color to white. So the next thing we want to do is remove the foreground beta sheets. So click on those, and you can see them up here. And you can fill them in here. And I'll click on this other beta sheet. So this is what we want to hide. And I can fill them in here. All right, so let's say hide cartoon cell. So that's selection. So now what you want to do is actually expand the selection by 2 residues on each side. And the reason for this is because we're going to create a new object. So create sheets for cell. And if you make the selections adjacent to each other, there'll be a break in the cartoon. And so we want it to be continuous. So I kind of have them overlap. So now we want to find a good view. See this looks pretty good. And we're going to store this. So view, I'll use F1 store, so that if you make a mistake later, you can go back by just pressing F1. And now I'm going to hide, actually, yeah. I'm going to set the color to the ligand to be lime green. And then I'll hide these. So we're actually going to get a little bit better view here. And then we'll ray trace this. So 700 by 1000. And you might want to adjust this just to make sure it fits in the middle. But for now, we can save this. So copy image to clipboard. And then we'll go to GIMP. You can use anything you want. GIMP is free. You don't need to know a lot about GIMP. We're just going to use it to put the layers together. So paste. Then I'll go back here. And the next thing we want to do is to hide on EMA. And we're going to show active site residues and the organics. So now we have to change the ray settings. Set ray trace mode to 0 so that it doesn't have a white background. I'll say set ray opaque background to 0. Now we'll ray trace this, and we'll go to draw and go copy to clipboard. Now open up GIMP, edit, paste. So that's looking pretty good. We'll go back to PyMOL. Now we want to hide these, and we want to show the sheets. So show cartoon. Now we'll set the background or set the color to white. So if you want to do this quickly, you can just say color to white. And then we'll set the cartoon transparency to 0.5 for the sheets. And then we're going to go again, ray 700 by 1000. And we'll copy the image to clipboard, go to GIMP, and edit, paste. And then finally, we'll go back to PyMOL and we'll set the ray trace mode back to 2. So we need to turn off transparency. So set cartoon transparency to 0 sheets. Now I'll do ray 700 by 1000 and ray draw, copy image to clipboard, go to GIMP again, edit, paste, and finally you can merge the layers or you can just export as PNG, which will do it automatically. So we'll call this cool image. and export it. So we'll go to this cool image, and you can see, so you have the whole figure here. So at this point, what you want to do is stop your recording. So log file, close, and then we can go and look at the log file. So we'll look at the log file under PyMOL test. It has all the commands that you input. Ray trace mode, slope factor. One thing you'll see a lot of is these set views. So every time you move the camera or the molecule, it's going to put a set view. So there's quite a bit of editing, and basically you're just removing these set views. And so select, you'll notice that if you select through the GUI, you'll see it'll use the cmd.select command, which is Python. But if you actually put a command, a PyMOL command, it just puts the command set ray trace. So there's a lot to edit. I'm not going to take all the time here, but we've gone into the future, and I've done all the editing of the PyMOL file. The first thing that you want to look at is the ray settings. So we have set ray trace mode. These are all the things that I did in the beginning. At the 2, set ray shadows 0, set fog 0, set ray trace gain 20, factor 5, anti-alias. The hash max is something that if you're making a really detailed figure, you can try. It uses more memory. And then we're going to hide organics. So this is something you have to add. If you're not toggling in the command line, you have to actually say hide everything. So everything organic, hide everything with the water, hide the residues, and just show the cartoon or 1 EMA. So if you click on thing, it is in there. It's just hard to find. It may not show up if you just toggle it, so you might have to actually type in hide or use a GUI to hide it. So select hide, so you're going to hide the foreground. So remember how we hid the foreground. And then you're going to create, I call this beta sheets, but I changed it to hide object. And then you're going to hide it. Those are the 2 sheets that were in the front of the molecule. So now you're going to ray trace the background. You set the background on 1 so that it's white. You set, or so it's opaque. And then you set the RGB to 111 so it's white. And then this set view is something with a .PML script. You really have to set the view, otherwise it doesn't get the right orientation or it's too zoomed up. In a PyMOL file script, we'll show you how to make it more flexible, so you don't actually have to set the view here. But here, if you find a view you like, so you don't have to do this in the GUI if you're doing it the manual way, but you do if you're doing a PML script. So if you wanted this view, if you wanted this view, you would just type in get view, get view, and then it gives you this orientation here, and you literally cut and paste this. So edit, copy, and then you'll paste this into your script here. So here PNG is a command to make the image. You set the width and the height. So this is, by experimentation, quite a bit bigger, but it gives a nice image. And then ray 1 just means you're using the ray tracer. So you've made that image, and then you're going to go to make the organics and active site image. So then you're going to hide the background. You just ray trace 1 EMA, and then you set the background here to 0 because you want it to be alpha so that it doesn't have a background, so you can overlay them. show spheres, organics. We're going to color lime green organics. We did this with the GUI, but here we're doing it with the command. Show the sticks, set the ray trace mode to 0, so it's not like black and white. Then we're gonna do PNG. This actually was left over from before. If you set the view, you don't have to do zoom. So I'm gonna uncomment that. And then you'll do PNG, and you need to do the same width and height in the array. And then foreground residues. So this is basically the helix. I'm sorry, the beta sheets. First you hide everything else. Then you show the cartoon of the beta sheets. Set the ray trace mode to 2. And again, you don't need to use this. And then you ray trace. And then for foreground 2, this is basically the, so this one is the ray trace mode 2, so as the outline. This is the ray trace mode 0, so you have the color. You're going to color it white, set the transparency to 0.5. If you want, you can change this. You don't have to do this. If you're good at GIMP, you can just do the transparency there. But if you want to do it here, you can do it here. Again, you don't have to zoom in here. And then save the PNG. So that'll save the 4 PNGs. So we're going to open up PyMOL again as if we're just starting from the beginning. So I'm going to show you when we run the .pml file. Get pdb 1 ema, and then all we have to do is find our script we just made. So run script and PyMOL scripting lesson 2. Now this may take a little while, maybe a few minutes. So we'll come right back when it's done. Okay, so we're back. It's basically made the files that we wanted it to make. We go to images. It made 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we'll go to GIMP. In the future, I can actually automate the overlay because GIMP is written in Python. But for now, we just say open as layers. And go 1, 2, 3, 4. And open. And there you have it. So if for some reason these are out of order, you can always switch the layers. So click on a layer, move it up. But we don't have to do that because I numbered them so that when they loaded in, they would be in the right order. So thank you for watching this. This is how you script really nice figures. You can do this on any molecule you want. If you want to make it more extendable to other molecules, then you want to use, extendable to other with different labels, you want to use Python files, and that's what we're going to do in the next tutorial. So thank you, and click like and subscribe.